Much good morning, Phoebe. How are you on what I believe is a warmish day in Dubai? Fairly early for you, but fairly early warming. How are you and how warm are you?
Hey, good morning. I'm very well, Graham. It is a bright day, and we are seeing almost 35 degrees on the temperature screen. And yeah, official summer has started in this part of the world. Yeah, and thankful for the bright lights outside.
Well, I'm always interested to hear about the weather in Dubai, although in all the 15 years that I lived there, I never talked about the weather. It is what it is. I'm not going to get into a discussion with someone. Oh, it's hot. Yes, it's very hot. Oh my gosh, it's hot. It's not. It's it's air conditioned everywhere you go. So I never thought, well, it is what it is. If you don't like the hot weather, don't come to Dubai. But you're not going to get burnt. You're not going to fall over unwell because you've been in the hot weather. But it is what it is, isn't it? And I'm pleased to
Yeah,
say
yeah.
it's a beautiful day where I am, and it is certainly nowhere near the Dubai warmth. Although someone I was talking to just earlier before this call was saying that last week it wasn't really humid in Dubai. It was really very pleasant. So there you go. I've experienced exactly that in my time. I I'm very much inclined to want to break down any myths about the weather in Dubai. No, ladies and gentlemen, it is not 45 degrees every day for 365 days, as a lot of people think. It's not. No, too much weather, Graham. We're talking about the Leadership Challenge. My name is Graham Moore. I'm a certified master of the Leadership Challenge, which is just about certainly next year. The eighth edition of the book will be released. Can you imagine that? Eight editions talking about the same topic, leadership, and fundamental to all editions, all nearly eight of them, so seven so far, at the core of this practices of exemplary leadership. It is so well regarded around the world. And before we start on our conversation and our topic for today, as I mentioned, I was talking to someone actually in Muscat who just arrived from Dubai, and he's very much involved in talking to people about the Leadership Challenge. And I reminded him that when I'm running a workshop for predominantly Muslim participants, I will say when we're getting to the end of the 2 or 3 day workshop, I'll leave it towards the end of the 3 days or 2 days. And I will then say to this predominantly Muslim group of people, which leader in your faith do you believe followed the five practices? And as I say, it takes about a second and a half, maybe a second and a quarter before someone will say, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. I say, yes. Did he model the way? Yes. Did he inspire a shared vision? Yes. I'll go through the five practices, and the answer is always yes. So I say, see, this has been around a long time. This is very valid. Your prophet followed these five practices. So should you. Well, I don't quite say it like that. So let us get into this conversation because I know you've got a burning topic for us to engage in today. Phoebe, tell us what are we going to what animal, lion, tiger, whatever we're going to poke today to waken the interest in what we're talking about.
Thank you, Graham. Like as you mentioned, we all like to see progress, and every progress underlying one aspect, that is change. And change have challenges, especially in organizational life or work life or in our personal life. We often think of change as an event. In a workplace context, it can be a merger, it can be a new system, it can be a restructuring. And I just want to highlight this part here, like Kouzes and Posner, the authors of the Leadership Challenge, would argue leadership is change. So the conversation today uh, touches upon this important aspect, leadership and change. How can we make change, um, you know, easy change, helpful change, um, you know, powerful and simple in our context?
Yes. Well, we've touched on change before. We've talked about it a few times, but that's because it's so important, and it happens so often, small or large. And in fact, obviously, with the recent events, and they're still recent in the Middle East, So many companies and, of course, therefore individuals were impacted on the dispute that occurred between Iran and the US, and the impact on the Gulf countries was significant. Change had to come about. I am, as you were giving this introduction and reminding us of the importance of handling change well, I'm sure that's what we want to do. I was reminded of a program that I did just a few years ago, and you will remember the connection, Phoebe. This was for I can call it a bank. I can use that term in the UAE, and I had done. I think at that stage I had done certainly two workshops for the mid-level and senior managers. Is that how you would describe them? Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And then in this, there was just before this third workshop happened, and it was a 2-day workshop on a Saturday and Sunday, as I recall, and it had been announced that there was a takeover going to occur, and that this bank was the subject of the takeover. So in my style, I went round the room of these senior people and said, tell me what you think about this. How do you feel about this obviously significant change? And of the, I'm guessing 15, 16 people there, around about, I don't remember the names, but I do remember one woman was the only woman, the only person who said, this is exciting. Wow. The rest of the executives were not comfortable with this at all, did not like this. In fact, one of the participants called me at least twice after the workshop, wanting some guidance and some help and some contacts. How can I get another job? And even though he still had his job, but the idea of this change, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Lose my job. I've got children at school and I can't have this. What? Okay, I don't want to be sent home. Okay. I haven't reconnected with anybody in that, particularly the woman. And I don't know. I think from memory, she might have been head of IT. I think I'm not sure. But here is a difference in the way people receive the idea of, in this case, a fairly significant change. But that type of change ain't unheard of, right? It happens where one company takes over another. But there's often another scenario similar to that where there is downsizing in the organization. Now, obviously, these are significant change. Will I still have a job? Can I still pay my rent and feed my family? And these are obviously major concerns for people. We all want to be able to keep our job and feed our family and pay for my children's education. But change can be also small. Anyway, Phoebe, how does that sound? I'm sure we don't need to go into the details, but I'm sure you remember the circumstances. I don't know whether you were in the room at the time I had this conversation with this woman, but she was the one who said, "Oh, this is exciting. Good things are going to happen." Wow, that's what we want. Good things, please. And an attitude.
Yeah.
Important is the attitude.
Yeah, it reminds me of sailing. People think leadership is about steering a ship towards a fixed destination, but in reality, you are constantly adjusting the sails because the wind never stops changing. So that is how I think quite often many of the people don't see it like that, and that is where it becomes hard. It is always there. Change is always there. We say change is constant, but people are finding it difficult when in different forms it comes. Like during the COVID, the work from home was a sudden emergent change, which was having huge impact on people. As we started, the conflict was with challenging change, which no one expected coming. So, and I thought it will be good to have this conversation, considering, often change feels unclear and overwhelming to many of the leaders who are power holders, managing a number of people. And then sometimes they are struggling with the scattered decisions and priorities they may have. And quite often, because, it is unclear, there is lack of alignment across teams and functions. And in many cases, it becomes a reactive firefighting instead of intentional action. And that is where, having a guide post to those people who are managing change will be definitely helpful. And Kouzes and Posner have provided a interesting five-step process, the five practices of the leadership challenge, which can act as a guide.
Sure. So let's just take that specifically, and let's just say probably the main driver of that is the third practice: challenge the process. So where leaders should be encouraging everybody to look for better ways, new ways to do things. And the gentleman I was talking to a little earlier today, and in fact just before this call, who I mentioned was talking about the weather in Dubai. Some years ago, he initiated some changes in his organisation. He was the financial controller. And at that stage, every team member in the accounts department had a printer. It was part of their standard equipment. I've got my own printer. Whoa, anything I want to print something out, push the button. It's all good. It's nice and convenient. He did some research and he spoke to the printer supply company, and he was able to make significant changes and cost savings by having one printer only to do the work of the entire accounts department. Oh, no, we can't. Oh, no, I need this and I need this. People were pushing back. They didn't want this change. And he quantified the savings, which is significant, by having one printer, not however many, with each person having the luxury of their own printer. People said, but I'm printing confidential information. Well, that's okay. The printer's got a code on it. You've got to enter your code, which is a 3-digit number. I don't know how many digits, and you can do it. Right? It's all covered. Everything was sorted out. And it was a significant saving to the company. So if someone is in the position as a leader to be looking for the team to make suggestions about improving what we're doing, then he needs, importantly, to build trust within the team. And this is where the trust comes from. Firstly, saying to the team members, I want you to look for new and better ways to do things. There have got to be ways to improve and make better what we're doing instead of the same old way of doing things. We have decided to move away from sending letters. We're going to send things called emails, and it will make life easier for us. Oh, really? But I like licking the stamp, and I used to collect the stamps. I won't be able to collect the stamps anymore. No, because life moves on, and we're going to change things. So if he's enabling people to come up with new, sometimes simple changes to systems and processes, these systems and processes that are likely, through suggestions of the team member or members, going to impact on the way people do their job. It's like having a new printer. But I want to stay with the old one. I love my old printer. No, not anymore. So the team leader plays an important role, not only in encouraging and accepting if it's available, accepting, when I say if it's available, if it's valid, that new suggestion, accepting that and encouraging everybody to be part of it. But fundamental is the T word, that is trust. And the trust comes with the leader and being for others, rather, to know that they can talk to the leader if they've got issues. They can come to him and say, I'm not comfortable about what we're going to be doing. And the trust that exists, hopefully, between the leader and the team member enables them with a degree of comfort and security and safety to come and say to him or her as the leader, I'm not comfortable. I don't feel that this is right. What can we do? I just don't feel good about it. And they've got to feel that level of safety in the workplace. You talked about safety in the workplace before. And this is an important thing. Oh, yes, this is what we're going to do. And also, it's a matter of the leader, of course, explaining the changes and making it all clear to everybody. But to me, trust is an integral part of being able to make this happen successfully. They must have a sense of trust when they come to the workplace in being able to communicate with their leader and know that the leader's not going to say, well, that's it, that's tough, we're just going to do this. I don't care what you think about it. The decision's been made. Well, that's just absolutely going to quash, although that's a word I haven't used for a while, it's absolutely going to put a fire extinguisher on any of the little bright flames of newness and improvement. So, yeah, we've got to handle change well, but underlying all of this is trust. And allied to that, as I said, is what you talked about a bit, and that is safety of people to be able to talk and express their views without having the leader say, that's a stupid idea. Don't come up with stupid ideas. They're not good ideas. That's all we want. No, got to be safety environment. Do you agree? You always, no, you don't always, but mostly you do agree with me.
Yeah, one thing to connect, as you mentioned, is, because in times of change, people don't follow strategies; they follow behavior, and as you just mentioned, trust emerges from modeling the way.
Yeah,
This one feels simple, but it is actually demanding also, and it is all about alignment, your actions matching your values. And sometimes what we see, let us say, think about it like this: if a leader talks about innovation but resists new ideas, what messages does that send? And maybe people may be sharing once a new idea, twice. After that, if there is no response, no change, they stop sharing that to
yeah.
the team, and they become okay. We are not welcome at this stage with ideas, and that becomes the space, and we can see change efforts taking a back seat in that process.
Yeah, and we've probably mentioned this before, but the two most commonly heard words after, let's just say a team meeting and someone comes up with an idea for something, might be small, it might be large, and someone comes up with this idea and someone else in the group, hopefully not the team leader, says, yeah, but the two most common heard words, yeah, but they're followed by, we did that last year, or there is no budget, or it won't get approval. So they put in the yeah, but, and yeah, but says, yeah, I agree with you. No, I don't. Yeah, I agree with you. I'm being nice. I'm listening to it. No, you're not. But here are the blockers. Why don't we change that and say, well, we're going to do it. We're going to try this. The other alternative to yeah, but is yes, and. Yes, and there might be some resistance from the senior management, but let's overcome that by doing this. So that's really, really important. And I, getting back to the leader embracing change and driving new options and new opportunities, is there might be times when a new process or whatever is new is introduced and agreed to. Now, remember that we talk about the best leaders, the authentic leaders and the exemplary leaders, whatever title we say. These leaders have authenticity. They display vulnerability. What? You're a leader and you're vulnerable? Yes. You're a leader and you're showing authenticity? Yes. The leader may even in this context say, you know what? I think the end result of what you're proposing for change is going to be really fantastic. I have reservations though about what we're doing along the way. I have some real concerns about this. So can we talk about it? I want input from everybody as to how we can make this happen, because I'm not feeling so comfortable about this. It's a significant change, and I know it's going to impact on everybody in this team and in a way that's not always going to be comfortable for you. So let's talk about that and how we might manage that. What is he doing? What is he, by using those words and that conversation, what's he doing to the team? He's showing his support. He's showing, I feel vulnerable, being authentic. I'm not just saying, we've decided, let's do it, let's make it happen tomorrow. He's expressing his genuine concerns and encouraging and allowing others to do the same. So that in that process, you can discuss what the options there might be, agree on alternatives or agree on ways around it, and get great ideas to make this a great success. There you go. Trust.
Yeah, people hear one thing, see another, and then default to what is safe quite often, as we see in a workplace context, and and it is also like I like to connect it with the second practice, inspire a shared vision, and this is where leadership becomes storytelling. What story are we repeating ourselves in our context, in our culture?
Yeah.
Are we inspiring, or are we not inspiring the team? And and this creates the engagement which is required to move forward, and especially in the change and transition phase.
So we've got challenge the process. We've talked. So you just mentioned the second, which is inspiring a shared vision, and talking about how the company's going to look or how the team's going to look when we've achieved this. All of that positive, climbing the mountain, and this is how we're going to do it. But the next one, of course, is enable others to act. Don't we all know that one? So in this situation, is he not going to give greatest encouragement to everybody on the team to come up with new and valid ideas to make this overall change work? He is going to, I hope, empower them to be creative in their options and to be able to implement those options so that the new process or the change is effected. And then what is he going to do? Counting down the numbers, we come to number 5. What is he going to do? Even along the way, what is he going to do?
Yeah. So, and it also links to
Practice.
yeah, the fifth practice, encouraging the heart. You know what happens, and especially when we see that trust being practiced, you know, when okay, my leaders trust me, it actually encourages the heart in unknowing ways, and quite often what we see is, you know, in high performance environments, this encouragement is the engine which drives people. And I reflected on something which happened last week when I was facilitating a workshop, a focus group discussion. And what I have seen is when people are encouraged to speak up, the way in which idea flowed, and we can see the genuine curiosity which is coming from these people, and the interest to see progress through for the organization and everyone involved. And that is where change become connected to the hearts of the people involved. And you create that safe space. And we used an exercise which which is known as roses, thorns, and buds. So we explored what are the roses which are there in the organization, what are the thorns, and when we identified what 2 or 3 thorns or pain areas if we can address right now, how that is going to impact and positively change the atmosphere. And that was eye-opening for them. And they started, okay, in some cases, this thorn can be removed by ourselves. And the leader is enabling that conversation to freely flow, and that encourages the heart.
Yeah. I have got another example about encourage the heart. And let's just take for a moment, let's say I've got a team of 12 people, or I might be the managing director and I've got 12 senior executives who are the next level down. I don't mind the structure. The same example still applies. There might be one person in that group who expresses resistance, who says, I think this is going to be difficult and I'm not comfortable about the changes that we're going to make, or I don't think this is going to work. And then when the leader, after observing the progress, it might be 2 weeks, I don't know, but a period of a little bit of time into this change that's occurring, the leader calls this person into his office and says, Safe, it's a man in this case, so we're calling him Safe. I'm going to avoid Ali or Muhammad. I've used those names too much. So Safe, I just want to say, you expressed some concerns and not entirely positive views about some aspects of this change. I listened to you and I was aware of what you were saying and I respected your concern. But I want to say what I have observed since we've started making the change is really fantastic. You have embraced the need for the change by your actions and the words that you were saying. So whilst I recognise that difficulty that you had at the start, what you're doing is an important part of moving this change process forward. So thank you, Safe. Right? That's one option. The leader could also pick a team of 10, I don't mind, pick a team of 10 and 3 weeks into the change process that might be taking 6 weeks or 8 weeks, that he sends a handwritten note, perhaps, or if not a handwritten note, then certainly a note individually. Handwritten is, by the way, is very, very good. It is powerful, but to send a note to each of the team members who are instigating and moving this change, and then another communication to the members of the organisation who are impacted on by the change that it impacts on their work. And he will send a note to the first ones I mentioned saying, I just want to say that I am proud of all of you, the work that you've done so far in moving this change into reality. I think it's fantastic. I know that there's going to be great results for all of us. And your input and your contribution to making this happen is critical. And I am so pleased with everything that you are doing. That's one. The next one, where it's just to the people who are impacted by the change. to send them a note. Maybe it's an email to the organization. I don't know, but send an email. That's okay. And say, I just want to report that we are 3 weeks into the change process, which we expect will be another 3 weeks before it's finalized. I want to thank all of you for your patience and your help in enabling us to make these changes, which are designed to make life easier for you. Thank you for the difficulties or change experience that you might have had that might not have always been positive. I have observed the way people are receiving this, and it is extremely helpful to those of us who are putting this in place. Thank you very much for your attitude and for the work you're doing. How you going? See, so I'm communicating along the way, and I am encouraging the heart, not only of the people who are doing it, but the heart of the people who are experiencing the change. Because even though we who are putting the change into practice might have experiences, it's those who are having to work with it before it becomes something which is innate, that is we do reflexively. And we're saying to them, thank you very much for all that you're doing. We're acknowledging that. I don't think organizations do either of those enough when change is being put into practice. They should do it more. Okay?
Yeah, here is a reflection for our audience, you know. When was the last time you genuinely recognized someone? Not for what they achieved, but for how they showed up. And and was it specific enough to matter? That is a question which I just want to ask all our listeners. Quite often, you know, and this is one of the point which was raised during the workshop which I had. You know, we don't have enough recognition efforts for what we are doing, and how hard is that to implement in an organization? You know, and we can build a rhythm of leadership if we build that encouragement in our workspace.
The word that are often missing at the end, that is just simply say thank you, right? Simply say thank you. Say shukran. Say whatever it is in Malayalam. What's thank you in Malayalam?
Yeah, it is known as nanni in the language of Malayalam. Yeah, thank you is equal to nanni.
Nanni. I was going to say that, but I want to make sure you remembered. That's all. So, but simply saying thank you is and why aren't we showing our gratefulness and encouraging the heart when people do the good things that we want them to do? Change is with us always. The biggest changes perhaps we're dealing with at the moment is AI and how that's going to impact not only on our personal lives, but our professional lives. It's impacting already on so many people. And some people are really concerned about how are we going to deal when AI is bigger than it is at the moment. But there are good things about it, and we've got to explore all of those as well. Phoebe, as usual, I thank you for your wise words of wisdom today. And I encourage you to keep doing the wonderful things that you are doing to make a difference in the lives of people that you are relating to. And as we wrap up this change discussion, remember, change is with us all the time. Thank goodness it is.
Thank you. Thank you. It is interesting, and to leave our audience, you know, the rhythm of leadership is simple: model, inspire, challenge, enable, and encourage.
Encourage. Phoebe, thank you so much. You were fantastic today. I relied so much on you suggested this, as you always do. I always say to you, Phoebe, what are we going to talk about today? And you come up with these wonderful topics to talk about. So thank you. I'm now going to say my final goodbye, and we will be back again next week. Bye.